Hi, I'm Pauline and this is Purely Paulie. I am here today. I am very privileged and very honored to share with you two of my close friends, Barbara Truitt and Laurel Strahan. We are here to celebrate health at every size. Folks, this right now, as we are just phasing out of COVID, I realize that the pandemic is still here, but we're coming on to the other side where the tunnel is becoming brighter and the opportunity to get out and to celebrate one another is here. Unfortunately, for some of our sweet dear friends, this is a time of high stress and anxiety. As a medical practitioner, we all feel, the three of us, that this is a area that we need to discuss and to talk about. So this video is not it is not a time for children. This is for mature audiences only, and by that I mean teenagers and adults, because we're going to be discussing anxiety, stress, weight gain, and focused around healing. And as we know that children do not always interpret what we say as we intended to say. So please, if you have children, this is not a video intended for them. With that said, it is my pleasure to introduce to you two very sweet women. We have Barbara Truitt, and I'm going to read to you her bio because it is quite a list of accomplishments, I must say. Barbara has a Master of Science degree. She is a registered dietitian, a licensed nutritionist. She is also a member of what we refer to in the dietetic community as a member of ASPEN. That is the American Society for Parenteral and Enteral Nutrition. So for any individuals who are in the hospital that need a little extra help through a feeding tube, Barbara's the woman to go to. She is also a published contributor, and you can look her up at You Can't Just Eat Cheeseburgers, How to Thrive Through Eating Disorder Recovery. She also has several other major accomplishments, so please understand Barbara is an expert in her field as a registered dietitian. It is also my privilege and my honor to introduce you to Laurel. Laurel is a psychologist. She holds a PhD in neuropsychology. She is an expert in the field of eating disorders, anxiety, and pandemic fatigue. With them, it is my pleasure, it is my obligation to you as my viewers, and it is my great joy to share with you this moment of how to overcome body shame, eating disorders, and anxiety from COVID-19. I would like to read to you an excerpt from the International Eating Disorder Professionals of what is happening currently. This is taken from their update on the more effects of COVID-19, Disordered Eating Review. The National Eating Disorders Association has recently published a 41% increase in messages to its telephone and online helpline as of January 2021. This is compared to January 2020. And in their 2020 study of about 1,000 American and Dutch disordered eating patients, more than 1/3 reported that due to the pandemic, their restrictions of their diet has increased in compensatory behavior, like purging and exercise. And among the Americans, 23% said that they were regular binge eating and stockpiling food. Folks, listen to this, that body image has also been affected by physical and social distancing. And yet another study, the authors reported that anxiety and stress directly linked to COVID-19 could be causing a number of negative body images among women and men. Among 506 British men and women, anxiety and stress was associated with a greater desire for thinness, and a significant percentage reported having body dissatisfaction. Among men, COVID-19 related anxiety and stress was associated with a greater desire for masculinity. and dissatisfaction with their body fat percentage. Among the women, it was an increased body dissatisfaction and a greater desire for thinness. As you know, those of you who follow me and understand Phoenix Rising Nutrition, we embrace health at every size, holistic healing, and living. People, it's time that we celebrate that we have survived COVID when so many have not. It's not about our weight gain. It is not about what we look like today. If I can stress anything to each one of you, let us celebrate the victory of life. Let us join hands together across this globe and mourn the loss of those who did not survive, and celebrate that we are here today. Health at every size. It is about understanding that we are here and we are alive, and it is time to come out of our homes and to feel safe and secure in who we are. So let us begin today our discussion with Barbara and Laurel, and I have some topics and questions of conversation. So ladies, first, thank you very much for being here. I appreciate that you are willing to give up your time. And beautiful, sunny Southern Florida, we're at my favorite watering hole, Square Grouper, and we're at the Fort Pierce Square Grouper. So today, ladies, I am asking that each of you individually would share with me your holistic lifestyle to wellness that encompasses mind, body, and soul. Nutrition is a portion of that. And how we move forward. How do we move forward from the body shame of using comfort food to cope with COVID-19? You know, we ate our way through COVID-19 as a coping mechanism. Everybody who knows me knows that there is room for all foods at the table. Nothing is restrictive. Give me some good mental health advice. Give me some nutrition, some physical activity, and, you know, how do we include all of these? Plus, you know, our faith. How do we include these ladies in moving forward? Laurel, what can you advise me from the mental health aspect of health at every size and moving forward post-COVID?
I love that you covered all of the different realms of the human experience. And what I teach my students and I tell my private practice patients is practice the PIES lifestyle, P-I-E-S. And that is every day do something, a little something. Do something physical, do something intellectual, do something emotional, and do something spiritual.
I love that.
So yes, and it can be as simple as, like, if I have to go to the ladies' room at the place where I work, I power walk, even if it's just that.
I love that.
You know, I be in contact with my higher power or meditate, things like that. I'm a lifelong learner, so every day I learn something new, either from my lecture formulation or my students or a patient. So it's definitely just like addressing your whole self. As you said, it's not just nutrition. And I do believe, like, for myself personally, I address my mental wellness with good nutritional behavior. Should say, like, I take some supplements for, you know, earlier because there was a combination that they said was very good to avoid getting the virus, and so I would take those, and then now I take them for a variety of things. I've done a lot of research, and every time I have something go on with my body, because I'm not a spring chicken, then
into that.
Yes, so then I research what can I take or eat to address swollen ankles or puffy eyelids or what have you, and it's usually highly effective.
Nice.
So yeah, so that's me, my approach.
I love it. Barbara, what can you tell me? How do you approach post-COVID-19 through a nutritional point of view? You know, we have so many individuals who are suffering body image, self-shame. How do we get them forward nutritionally and to get them to understand that comfort food has a place at the table?
Right. What we have to do is go back to what we were in 2019. We were all about probiotics, prebiotics, and we need to go back to that during the quarantine, there were food shortages. I myself went to Publix and there was no ground beef. And then another day there was no chicken. And I was thinking, what's going on? So we had no choice. But now we do have a choice. So we need to just slowly go back. But remember, before COVID, we enjoyed a night of bowling. We enjoyed a lunch like this.
I love that.
I myself have a hot dog.
Love it.
I'm having a hot dog again.
I love it.
That's what we need to do. We need to go back to what we were before COVID. And it's going to take some time because people have it in their mind. This has been going on for so long that we have a stigma right now. So we have to take small steps and just slowly go back. And if we food prep. You know, go back to food prepping and go back to making a list and doing recipes before you go shopping.
So as a recovering person, as most of my audience knows, I had anorexia nervosa. It took a long time for me to reach a point of recovery with that. So for me to sit here with my girlfriends and eat out, and to be on camera eating as a recovered eating disorder patient, folks, I gotta tell you, it took a process to get here, but I'm really comfortable with it today. What is your advice? I'm going to start with Laurel, who is the expert in eating disorders as a psychologist. What is your advice for those recovering with body shame images due to weight gain? Are there any steps that they can take? What is your recommendation to help them? Because schools are opening back up. Come the fall, high schools are open and kids have to go back to school. Universities are open back up. College students have to go to campus. And adults who are recovering or in the middle of an eating disorder, they have to go to the workplace. What is your advice to help them cope with this process?
Well, one of the things that I always urge my clients and even my friends and family, be gentle with yourself. We went through extraordinary circumstances.
Yes, we did.
And the pandemic fatigue caused a lot of neurochemical and neuropsychological changes in everybody. Lack of social interaction, which is necessary for human survival. For human survival. There's a lot of empirical data that shows that even infants, when they try to socially interact with a parent or a caregiver, if the person that they're trying to interact with keeps a flat face and they get no response, the infant becomes extremely distressed, and that's going to cause some neurochemical changes. So I would say, first and foremost, realize that this is a physical thing that's going on with you. This isn't just that you failed because you ate ice cream sandwiches for 6 months. That's not what it is. It's that your hypothalamus, your pituitary, your adrenal glands are all working overtime. That's called the HPA axis. And when that gets activated, which is typically for the fight or flight response, we have a surge of cortisol, which causes weight gain and weight retention, and adrenaline hormones. And so in an ideal situation, the threat goes away, the body metabolizes those things, and we go back to a resting baseline. But when you're in the middle of pandemic, that's where the pandemic fatigue comes in, because you're in a constant state of hyperarousal. You don't get to metabolize that stuff back into your system. So, and then the body, of course, is like, oh, it's crisis, so I'm going to hold everything. So even those who tried to work out and eat healthy, quote unquote, because we know health at all sizes, the body was working against them. It's like, trying to roll a stone up a hill. So I think the first thing would be easy with yourself, make a game plan that's doable, set small goals. Whether it's, and that's, again, goes back to the pies thing. I'm not in great stamina condition, but if I can book it to the ladies' room, I'm doing something.
Absolutely. Parking at the end of the parking lot and walking to the store.
Yeah, exactly.
Great. Okay.
So that would be my advice to start with.
I love that. So what I'm hearing, folks, be gentle. Understand that your body did what is extremely normal. Your body did what it knew to do to protect you. And if that meant that you ate macaroni and cheese, if you ate your mama's beef stir fry, if you ate biscuits and gravy, that's what your body knew to help you survive this pandemic. And remember, this is a time that our world, not just the United States, but that our world has not seen before.
Right.
So the fact that your body kept you alive to this point, to have this moment of stress, tells me, without even knowing you personally, that your body was doing what it knew to do to protect you. So please embrace that. Celebrate that your body loves you so much that it did what it knew to do to help you be here today. So that's what I'm hearing from Laurel, is celebrate your body's love for you and accept that what you ate was what you needed to eat at that moment.
Right.
It does not define who you are today.
Can I interject something?
Absolutely, Laurel. What do you have to share?
For everybody that, going back to being gentle with yourself and knowing that your body is telling you what it needs, a lot of people carb loaded. I had more than my fair share of ice cream sandwiches.
Amen.
You know, but what people don't realize is that carbohydrates are the building blocks for tryptophan, which is an amino acid that, when reconfigured, becomes serotonin, which is the feel-good neurohormone. So if you're super stressed and super down, then your body's going to tell you, I need tryptophan, I need carbs, and you're just, again,
That
following
explains
this.
my potato chips, folks. Amazon loved me for potato chips. I'm just saying. Personal brand I only eat.
Anyway, that's all I wanted to shoot in there.
Well, thank you, Laurel, because I feel better about the potato chips that I special ordered through Amazon because I only eat one brand of them. That's awesome. Yay! Anorexic recovery and feel better about that. Barbara, what can you tell me? How can folks love themselves a little more and accept that comfort food has a place at the table?
Just remember that comfort food is exactly that. It was comfort. We needed that comfort during this time. It was so scary. No matter who you spoke to, some people said, oh, this isn't true, it's not really happening, or I think this is something the government planned. There were so many things being said, but we needed that comfort food.
Yes.
And the good thing about our bodies is our body did do that. It protected us to deal with a time that we have never seen before.
Right.
But now, we're open now to go out and do that walk, go to the mall.
Yes, ma'am.
I tell people, go to the mall and just walk around the mall 5, 6, 7, 8 times.
I love it.
And just work your body back to where it was.
We don't
That's-
have to socially engage if we're
No.
not comfortable with that, but
Right.
yet we're out and among other people, so we're getting the interaction, but we don't have to socially, we don't have to socially engage.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I love that.
What's the secret to walking around the mall 6 times and not spending $300?
I was going to
Exactly. I
say,
don't
not stopping at your favorite shoe store.
Don't
now.
take your credit card.
Right?
Don't take your credit card. Don't
Oh.
take your debit card.
Honey,
Don't take your purse.
Barbara, remember, I have that on my phone. It's like the smart Apple Pay. So, folks, if you're doing that, disengage Apple Pay, because if you're like me and you really want that pair of pumps, you will find a way to pay for those. Yeah, as my husband can well attest to that one. Absolutely.
Yeah.
But you're right. It's the easing ourselves into society and remembering comfort food helped us to survive this pandemic, to stop beating ourselves up, and to understand, you know what, your mama's mac and cheese recipe is okay, and it brought you a sense of security.
Yeah.
Maybe your mama doesn't live next to you. Maybe she lives in another state. I think of my children who are grown adults, but to me will always be my baby boys.
Yep.
One lives in Ohio and one lives in Kentucky. But they called me and they said, right now we're eating this recipe, X, Y, and Z, because it makes me think of you.
Aww.
I know,
nice.
right?
Did
I
you
mean,
cry?
talk
'Cause
about.
I would have cried.
I did. I cried. It was like, oh, God, love you. But they were eating comfort foods that reminded them of a time of security.
Oh, yeah.
And that was okay because that's what my kids needed at that moment.
Right.
And I was super proud of them for finding a way to cope
Yeah.
Right.
at that moment, because they're heads of their household and they represent their wives and they represent children, and they had to take care of their families, but they also had to cope
Oh, for sure.
mentally on their own. So if your mama's favorite recipe resounded with you when you ate that because that helped you to get through a moment of high stress, wonderful. I'm glad that you had that memory and you had that recipe from your mom to help pull you through those moments. And when we talk about body image and when I say health at every size, for those of you who know me and who follow me on YouTube, on Instagram, on Facebook, you understand that I embrace every body size, and we all are individuals, and we all are deserving of love and affection and affirmation. So please, COVID was something that happened, and we're moving beyond that now. Understand that your friends, your true friends, those who love you and embrace you for who you are, they really don't give a rip about what you look like. And I'm just, right, Laurel?
Yeah,
I'm being honest.
I got you, girl.
We don't give a rip about
We
what
don't.
your thighs look like. We don't care about what your middle looks like. And, for those who know me, I don't have an upper section, so if I gain a little bit of weight, Laurel's about choking out here, I might actually get something. This is my husband interjecting here.
You kill me.
I don't have any, and I'm okay with that. But when I gain weight, I get boobs. It's all good. So we're just being, and this is why this is for mature audience only. Embrace who you are.
Yes.
As your friends, we love you. And it is so important that you understand that you are loved and you are embraced for who you are. And food is food is what keeps us alive. And it's a social part of the world, not just America, but food is global. It's how we interact. Whether it is in Africa and you're interacting through pilau, whether it is in Singapore or Asia and you're interacting through duck, through rice, through soy products, or if you're in another part of the world and you're interacting through your cultural diversity and the way that you embrace food, understand those who love you don't care what you're eating or how much you've gained.
Right.
We worry about you and who you are. So I'm asking today that if you feel body shame, if you feel displaced, if you're uncertain about stepping out and meeting those friends and they send you a text and they're like, hey girlfriend, hey guy, let's meet up at X, Y, and Z today and hang out for the evening and listen to some live music, which is what we do here at Square Grouper, live music every night, right on the Intercoastal, gotta love it. If you're afraid to say yes and you don't want to hit that text button like you've typed it and you're like, yeah, I want to be there, but then there's
Right.
that person, right Laura? There's
Yep.
that person on your
Yep.
side saying, you've gained too much weight.
They're going to be shocked. They're going to be horrified. You
It
don't have
is-
anything that fits. It's those the
That's okay.
evil voice inside that.
Exactly, Laurel. It's that negativity. And folks, what do I always say? Positive thoughts change who we are
Right,
today.
right.
It moves us forward. Don't listen to those. If you do anything, dig deep and just hit send. And then meet those friends, because I'm telling you, they don't care what you look like. They love you, and just because your favorite jeans don't fit, right, ladies? You can't get
Yep.
them on.
I found out what yoga pants really meant.
Right. Yoga pants can sometimes put a boho top to it, ladies, and you're rocking it out. So if you know,
Yep.
I'm all about boho and loose and baggy. It feels good. Wear it. Jewelry covers a multitude. I'm just saying, invest in some good jewelry, folks.
Yeah.
Get out there and embrace friendship, embrace love, embrace who you are. Health at every size means you love who you are from the inside out. And we'll work together, right, Barbara? Right,
Yep.
Laurel? We'll work together on healing, because healing is a village. You know, people say it takes a village to raise kids, right, ladies?
Yeah.
Yes, and there's so much support out there.
Right.
There's
Right.
so much support, but people need to know where to go.
Yes.
And we're going to
You
post
get
that.
you get on Google and you could go into a rabbit hole of bad things, and
Right.
you can go into a rabbit hole of wonderful things.
Barbara, thank you so much for bringing that up. At the end of this video, I am going to be posting links that you can go to, 1-800 numbers to reach out to. Just know, it not only takes a village to raise kids, it takes a village to freaking keep our minds centered, because negativity sets in so easily. And I
Right.
don't care what country you live in, negativity sets in. Let food be freedom, let food be joy, embrace it. Everything has room at the table, whether it's a glass of wine, it's a hot dog, or it's just French fries and mayonnaise. Everything has a place at the
Oh, I
table.
love French
Yeah,
fries
Laura's
and
over here
mayonnaise.
laughing. Yeah, they're laughing at me, folks. Only a
love it.
Southerner understands French fries and mayonnaise.
I
You
grew up
have
on Long Island, but I lived in Texas for 30 years, so
There you go.
I'm a mix.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yep.
True Southerners know you don't eat fries without mayonnaise. It's not about the ketchup.
When we talk about weight gain during the pandemic, we're looking at, like we talked about, be gentle with yourself. You're carb loading, your body's telling you what it needs. But conversely, as we come out of the pandemic, another phenomenon is occurring, which is because we've done so much carb loading during the pandemic, we now have an excess of serotonin.
Right.
And too much serotonin creates a state of anxiety or panic or irritability.
So are you hearing this, folks? Too much serotonin can create this moment of anxiety, this moment of panic. Laurel's going to keep talking.
And so then what happens is people stop, they start to be so anxious that they can't eat. And when they don't eat, they're not ingesting any tryptophan to generate the serotonin. So they feel better. And the brain starts to tell us, okay, if you don't eat,
So
you
restrictive
don't
eating
feel
patterns.
anxious. Exactly.
Restrictive eating.
And so as we see so many other addictive behaviors, which I consider eating disorders to be within the addictive behavior
Okay.
OCD realm, that's me.
Yeah, I was definitely OCD as a
Yeah.
recovered anorexic. I can say
and
OCD.
so the brain, without us even consciously thinking about it, the brain's like, okay, if you just don't eat, your serotonin will drop, you will feel better.
Amen.
And then so food
I know
becomes
that feeling.
associated with the symptoms. So when you talk
Right.
about looking at food and crying, I totally was proven on that because that's what I see in private practice.
Right, right.
You know, and if people can realize, again, this is not a flaw in you. This is not you not measuring up or measuring down, you know, weight-wise, scale-wise
Absolutely,
measurements.
absolutely.
Then it's just a neurochemical, natural, as you said, reaction to an extraordinary circumstance. So when you look at someone who is struggling with anorexia nervosa, typically they have that same biofeedback loop.
Right, right.
And
Absolutely.
you know this because it's your field of expertise
Oh,
too.
the memories, the nightmares, and the numbers that I have since learned.
Right.
You know, in those moments of high stress, Laurel, as you know, I look at food, and my husband knows, Terry knows that I can't eat it. I can't. I walk away from the table fearful,
Yeah.
teary-eyed, weepy.
Right.
And those of my viewers who know me personally, and I have a following of people who have known me for 30 plus years, and it took me until well into my 40s. I started with an eating disorder at 15. Anorexia took me down to 95 pounds. I couldn't walk. People had to carry me. And I struggled with eating disorders well into my 40s. There are days today when school becomes really difficult. I have that perfectionist
Right.
syndrome where I often post, and you all know that, just see me on Facebook, that it's the confessions of a recovered perfectionist. And it's, I post those, Laurels.
I don't have that problem.
Oh, it must be nice. You know
My
what?
mantra is close enough is good enough.
Oh, I love it. I can't get there. My head just won't wrap around that.
I like that.
But as a recovered perfectionist, that's part of an eating disorder, and you'll attest to that with your expertise. That, you know, we look at food and it's just, my good enough isn't enough.
Yes. Oh, that's and that goes back to that evil voice.
Right.
You know, because in the case of anorexia nervosa, 95 pounds, and you still see a heavy person in the mirror.
Right.
And I've been on a nutritional quest, and I've lost a significant amount of weight since November. And when I take pictures with people, I'm all like, "Look at me!" And
I
when
love
see
it. I love it.
But when I see the pictures, it's that voice.
Yeah.
Oh, you still have a long way to go,
Yeah.
girlfriend.
Yeah.
You know, so.
I get it. I do. So what we're saying, folks, is body shame. We all struggle with it. We all struggle with body image.
Right.
But let's not make it become debilitating.
Amen.
Let's not get it to stop us from living. And it's easy for me to say that, so you think. What you don't know is my own inner struggles
Right.
as a recovered eating disorder patient.
Right.
There are days that I look at my husband and I'm like, no, I can't do this today. And he's like, yes, you can. You're stronger than you think you are. And sometimes
I love that.
Sometimes we have to surround ourselves, and it's being willing to be open to one person we surround ourselves with that says you are stronger today than you think you are. And folks, I'm being honest, and those of you who know me, there are days I sit at my computer and I cry for 12 hours thinking I'm not good enough. I didn't pass the RD exam, practice exam today with this score. I'm not good enough. And I need somebody, because my own freaking voice says I'm a failure. I need somebody else's voice telling me that I'm not.
Right.
And we're not going to get that unless we're willing to be open to stepping outside that door.
Right.
So step outside your door, meet up with your friends, click yes, I am going to be there.
Wear the little black dress.
Amen. Wear the big
And-
freaking black dress. I don't give a damn. Wear the dress.
That's right. And I have a point to make. In the beginning of our lunch, you had said, thank goodness we're here. We
Right.
survived.
Right.
Yes,
Without nutrition, we wouldn't be here.
correct.
Absolutely.
Think about that. And that's
Yeah,
something
absolutely.
people have to remember.
Absolutely, Barbara.
Nutrition is going to keep us on this earth.
Amen.
Yeah.
And that's what it's all about, folks. Nutrition, you know, it's what we eat, what we put into our bodies. Comfort food has its place, as do fruits, vegetables, and good proteins and dairy. Everything has a place at the table. So with that, ladies, are we good? Are we ready to
Yeah.
finish our lunch?
I think
Yes.
All right.
I've been
I
going
love
at
this
it.
hot dog.
I'm like dying to eat my Cuban here.
Yes.
So we love you all, and we will chat another day. Bye-bye.
Bye.